I'm Trevor.
I'm Trax.
Welcome to the Red Squadron Podcast. So this is our first episode of our podcast. We're going to talk a lot of Star Wars. Should be a lot of fun. We wanted to open up by kind of explaining who we are and what we do. So my name is Trevor Sparks. I currently am a collegiate swim coach. But Star Wars has kind of always been a hobby of mine. It's very much something that I enjoy to watch, something that I enjoy to nerd out about and talk about. It's a lot of stuff that I collect. Super into sports, right? You're going to see me watching a lot of games, maybe creating a lot of parlays that never hit. But sports is a big part of me as well. So that's a little bit about myself.
Yeah, and similar thing for me. I'm a high school teacher, and I just love Star Wars. We've had so many conversations, nerding out. It's just one of my favorite things to talk about, and there's so much depth to it, and I just am excited to dive into everything that we had to cover.
Yeah, so today we have a few different topics we're going to talk about. First, we kind of wanted to talk about like the obvious one, elephant in the room, if you will, like why are we making a podcast? I feel like, a lot of people make podcasts nowadays. I definitely have my reasons.
Almost a fad.
Yeah,
it's almost a fad.
So we're joining the fad. Why are you here?
I just like talking Star Wars, and I'm gonna be honest. I like talking about it with you most of all. All right, you have the most knowledge that I know of anybody Star Wars related, and it allows me to be my nerd self. And I hope that when people watch this, that they gain some Star Wars knowledge, but it's also very fun for us to talk about.
Yeah.
And so I think we'll get a few laughs in there. We'll just make it fun. Make Star Wars fun again.
Yeah, super similar. Honestly, it's just an excuse to talk about Star Wars.
Yeah.
Last time we talked about Star Wars at a wedding, we got yelled at. Not the appropriate setting, apparently.
But he was part of our Star Wars group, though, so
yeah.
Maybe we'll have him on here at some point.
Yes, that surprise guest might come later. But really, big excuse for me to talk about Star Wars, have fun with it, and kind of document it. I feel like we have the same conversation a lot of the time, same debate, and then we actually flip sides because we don't remember what we said the last time. Yeah. So it's good for us to get out there, maybe double down on our own opinions and share it with you guys.
And I don't think we're trying to make this thing huge. Our goal is not to make it huge. It's just to have fun talking Star Wars because it is such an interesting topic. You can go so in depth. So we're not doing it for the views or for anything else like that.
Nice.
It would be very nice. I would very much appreciate your views. So please do watch this. It's gonna be fun. But we just like talking Star Wars.
Yeah, by all means, if we make it big, it's terrible.
Oh, I get invited to San Diego Comic.
Yeah, we'd love to get flown out there to Disney if you're watching and stuff.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's just for fun.
Mm-hmm.
Something for us to do, keeps us able to get together and connect often, and then talk to you guys and stuff. So.
And hopefully you guys get a chance to interact with us too. I know we're gonna do some mailbag questions later on, and so we always want your input.
Yeah, it should be from us to you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoy.
Welcome back to the Red Squadron Podcast. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about our personal favorite character, and I know I'm very excited about this. Trevor, who's your favorite character in Star Wars?
Thank you for asking. I thought you never would. For me, this person I have a personal connection to. For me, it's Fives, the Clone Trooper.
Wow.
And that's probably a hot take, because I feel like a lot of people's Anakin and stuff, and that's great. But for me, Fives really stood out. I feel like I grew up with him as a kid watching the Clone Wars. I feel like his story is something that really drew me in and kind of made me sad. Because it's one of those stories where we obviously all know the outcome, right? He's not going to prevent it.
As long as you guys know that this is a Clone Wars exclusive character.
Yes, sorry. He is not in any form of live actions. That would be sick. I would love that. Not in flashbacks in Ahsoka either, you won't see him. But Clone Wars exclusive character. And I think the biggest draw is I'm rooting for him constantly to stop Order 66. He discovers the inhibitor chip. He's going through all this, he loses a friend, a fellow clone trooper. and in the back of your head, you know it's not going to change. But every time I watch it, I'm like, oh, if he just he escapes, he's there.
Great analogy here is definitely Revenge of the Sith. Every time I watch it, Anakin gets on the ship, and he goes over, and you're always like, no, do not cut off Mace Windu's hand.
Yeah.
For the love of God. It's the same situation with Fives.
Yeah. And like, I guess I'm a sucker for stories like that. Like, cause like you're drawn in, but you know.
Like a tragic hero.
Yes, yes. And I know his life is gonna ultimately not amount to much. Which is sad.
But it also, the most important thing about Fives and the Clone Wars series in general, I think, is how in-depth it shows these clones.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not just, they didn't make this transition to stormtroopers willingly. They didn't join the Empire willingly. And Fives is the perfect example of that. It gave us that reason of why they turned the way they did. And he has such great depth to him.
Yes. Well, and I think, kind of the last bit that really draws me to Fives is I feel like he's arguably one of the first clones that like forms an identity, right? When you're watching Domino Squad, that's a very early group of clones, obviously. You see them as cadets and they start out as numbers, right? Like CT555.
Rest in peace, Heavy.
Yes, Red Heavy. And you see them form, all right, I'm cut up, I'm droid bait, I'm Fives, I'm Heavy, I'm Echo. And you kind of see them take their own shape, their own personalities. And Fives is very much a unique clone in that he's not like others. He doesn't blindly follow orders, right? We see that in like the Unbara arc when he's questioning Palm Krell arguably before anybody else is. He's not afraid to like take charge and be held accountable for things. And it's just really cool to see how he came into his own for me.
And when he's involved, his arcs in the Clone Wars are amazing. You just mentioned Umbara. That is one of my favorites. Krell was amazing in it, and Fives, big part of it. Big part of it.
Well, and he's also in, like the Citadel arc. Yeah, he's got some really good arcs in the Clone Wars that he's involved in, and obviously, like his arc where he bites.
Yeah. Did you consider Echo because Echo has a similar story?
I did, and like honestly, I'm a sucker for the clones. Probably the most people that I considered were clones, right? Mm-hmm. Like Rex, Echo, those guys. Echo for me just isn't around as much, and he didn't have at least when I was growing up, as much of an impact. Like Fives' biggest thing was he almost uncovers the plot. Mm-hmm. And by that time, we thought Echo was dead. And he comes back for the Bad Batch. Mm-hmm. But that's honestly in these more recent years.
Yeah. I just think we're going with the tragic hero theme here. Mm-hmm. Echo, he went through some stuff. Yeah. And season 7 of the Clone Wars with him in it was a great addition and led us to the Bad Batch series. So that's why me personally, I prefer Echo over Fives. Okay. And that's why I'm pushing Echo so hard here. I didn't want not bashing your character. I mean, that's my personal preference.
I'm just saying Echo's the type of guy that maybe follows orders to a fault, right? I mean,
good soldier follow orders.
I mean, they were like, we need that ship, and there's clearly a big turret aimed at it, and he's like, grabs a little shield, walks up there, gets blown up. Not to hate on the guy, but Fives wouldn't be doing that.
Hey, he had the guts to go do it, and that's what I want. I don't need the intelligence up here. I just need the guts to go.
Yep. He's gonna get the job done. Or try. Yeah. Okay. What about you? Who did it boil down to for you?
When you were introducing, I go off the path of original. The one character you mentioned, Anakin. that is who I picked. Yeah. And but it's so much deeper than him just being the chosen one. Yeah. All right. And that is not a debate. Maybe it is a debate for you. We haven't talked about that yet. But he is the actual chosen one. His story arc and the depth that they go into with that character. Mm-hmm. He has probably the most screen time in all of Star Wars. Yeah. You see this turn from a kid who loves his mother into a kid who does not know how to control his feelings. Yeah. And that's what led him astray. And he didn't. And the Jedi Council didn't. It's almost their fault that he turned to the dark side.
That's a hot take.
Whoa.
Anyway.
I mean, he's also the best duelist in my opinion. the way he is as a general, as a strategist. Now, we can talk if he committed war crimes or not, because...
Yeah.
But we don't know if Star Wars had those war crimes. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. They were droids, but...
Some of them.
He really is... He's the ultimate redemption arc. Alright, and he did bring balance to the Force, whether you like that or not.
Yeah.
If you were the Jedi, you definitely
Someone
did not like that.
But, yeah.
Yoda, he was feeling it.
Yeah.
But... and you think about how his fate got so twisted just in the first episode with Qui-Gon going. And he needed that father figure more than anything else. Just a tragic character. I think we both picked tragic characters here.
Yeah.
But he does get the ultimate redemption arc, and we won't talk 7 through 9 and what that means for his legacy. But for the most part, you just get the most depth on him, and him training Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And that led to one of our greatest characters, Ahsoka Tano, right? I love their relationship. Him and Obi-Wan, that is some of the best on-screen banter that you'll see between two characters, in my opinion.
When I feel like, you mentioned Ahsoka, I feel like arguably she was in the consideration for me a little bit, but like, to be honest, she started off, I hated her.
Well,
Clone Wars movie, not a fan. She was a little, I don't know.
And
Rex said it better. He's like, in my book, experience outweighs anything. Because she came in, big dog and Rex right away. She's like, technically, I don't rank you.
Yeah, she's still
I'm like, whoa.
She still had her brains.
This is a war hero here. Like, you're coming in here, you're coming in with all that energy. But she ends up being a great relationship for Anakin. Arguably a reason that he turns to the dark side when she walks away.
Jedi Council's fault. So yeah, I'm telling you.
Some of them not. I don't think Obi-Wan ever really believed that it was Ahsoka. Plo Koon arguably was tipsy, but I perhaps naivety or blindness by the Council. Maybe like unintentional. I don't know. But anyway. I think Anakin's a great character. You can't go wrong.
And let's get some appreciation for Hayden Christensen as well.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy, he got so much hate. We loved the prequels growing up. We were kids when we watched it, but the original trilogy Star Wars fans did not like him. And I'm just happy to see the appreciation he's got. And the Ahsoka series with him coming back, that's some of the best Anakin I've seen. And honestly for me, I did consider saying him. I was kind of hoping you were going to pick him so that like somebody was addressing him. Would have been pretty boring if we picked the same person.
I figured we were safe, but I was, obviously it's the Skywalker saga.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, in my opinion, his story has only become better by the new media.
Mm-hmm.
I loved seeing him in the Clone Wars armor in live action in Ahsoka.
Yeah.
I loved seeing flashbacks of him in the Obi-Wan series.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love the Vader scene where like Obi-Wan and Vader are fighting. He's like,
he's got
that mask. Yes, that's a great scene.
Yeah.
And I think that's also allowed Hayden to know like the fans really do love him.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just kind of that transition.
You even saw that Comic-Con. I started chanting his name, started getting emotional. That stuff is hard, And he portrayed a great character. George Lucas asked a lot of him.
Yeah.
That's a hard act to follow when you're going against the reputation of the greatest villain of all time.
Yes.
And that's consensus around a lot of people.
Yep.
So he had high expectations, and I think he did meet them. Little Annie, he did okay. It was a tough role. It was a tough role to play. He's 9 years old, but come on, 9 years old, he took out a Federation starship.
Yeah. Not many people are doing that at 9 years old. I certainly wasn't.
At 9 years old, I think I was swimming and just doing some random stuff.
I was watching
he's
that
going,
at 9 years old.
He's going flying ships, blowing up.
He took that off autopilot. He did that himself. I mean, crazy character, great arc. Mm-hmm. Probably one of the best arcs like in media nowadays. Mm-hmm. If you take total story, right? They've fleshed him out over 6 full films, now multiple different shows, animated and live action. Mm-hmm. And it's added a lot of depth.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm glad. I'm glad that you said him. Now, do you count Darth Vader Anakin as part of your favorite, or like Jedi Anakin.
So I'm gonna kind of steal a line from the Kenobi series. Anakin's dead when he turns to Darth Vader. I don't think that takes place until he puts his suit on, though.
Yeah.
I really don't. When you look at the Mustafar scene before Obi-Wan comes, got tears running down his eyes, he's still Anakin in there.
Yes.
And Padme still says that when on her dying breath, that I know there's still good in him. So there might be a little piece of him, but he went off the edge there for a while. And then finally when Luke Skywalker gets introduced, that's when you start to see that light shining through again.
Yeah, okay.
And that's when I think it's like, because the Return of the Jedi is him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That is,
okay.
That's him.
So for you, Anakin is who he was, and he adopted like a different persona when he became Vader.
Yeah.
And for all extents and purposes, like Anakin didn't really exist. And now, do you think, and this is kind of off topic, but when he tells Obi-Wan, like, you didn't make me this like I did, is that Anakin? Did Anakin come out, or is that just still Vader?
I actually believe so.
Okay.
And it's so funny you mentioned that scene, because I was just on Instagram today and I watched that scene, and Ewan McGregor was talking about it, and he was talking about the red and the blue changing for color.
Okay.
And he was saying it was an accident, but it was a good accident, because when that blue shows, you can almost feel that that's Anakin talking, and then the red comes in and it's I did.
Yeah.
And that is like an alter ego, alter personality.
Yeah.
There. Yeah.
Who else was on your like list of consideration? Like that you were close to picking, but you're like, yeah, it's just gotta be Anakin.
Honestly, this is gonna be I love Jango.
Jango Fett.
He doesn't have a lot of depth to him at all. He doesn't. But seeing him, his like Slave One, his jetpack, his pistol blaster, those are like he has one of the most iconic sounds.
Iconic.
I just didn't have a lot of depth to him, and that's why I didn't choose him. But I mean, you know he's a good character when you create a whole army based off his genome.
Yeah, well, and there's also, I can't really read, but there's a lot of books out there. There's a lot of books that, like include him or like the old like Jango Fett video game and stuff that can flesh it out a little more. But yeah, when you're talking like full canon, it's hard to flesh out his character.
Playing the original Battlefronts, I loved playing as Jango. That'd be my favorite villain. Sorry.
He's definitely not a hero.
If you're paying him enough money, he might have been.
yeah. I mean, that's certainly a fair point to make. So, I mean, that's a cool character. I did not expect that.
No.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. It was either that or Ahsoka Tano, which we covered. And she's great. She developed amazingly. She was, but the thing was, you said it. She just was so. She was going R2. Come on, R2. I'm like, oh my god. Ahsoka, please.
That is R2D2.
But then the transformation to Siege of Mandalore.
Oh yeah, character growth, and like in the Ahsoka series, like she's much different. I think Rosario Dawson did a great job with her in live action.
Oh yeah.
I think Ahsoka probably has one of the better like progressions out of any character in Star Wars. Of like, I really didn't like her. I can't get enough of her. Like I love media with her in it now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah. Who was on your short list there?
I mean, obviously Ahsoka, 5s. I considered Rex. I feel like he had to be in my consideration just because arguably he's like the clone.
Yeah.
He's really the first, clone that you really learn about. Like first clone that you learn the name of in like you kind of know about, you know Cody from the movies. Yeah. But really you only see him.
He's got 4 lines, 5 lines, whatever it is.
But when you're introduced to like the clones as a bulk in the Clone Wars movie, it's Rex. And then it stays Rex. And he's unique, right? He's got like that white blonde hair. He's got, he's from the Battle of Geonosis. He's a Gen 1. He's a unique leader, right? He also doesn't just blindly follow orders. He also stands up to Krell when he feels like something is wrong. He's certainly reliable. Like Anakin can always count on him. So he's good for an order, but he doesn't blindly follow it, and he has emotions attached to it.
Yeah.
And not to mention, like, pretty sure he has like the coolest helmet of like he combines like a phase 1 with Phase 2 or something. I don't even know how you do that, but
it's a special request.
Yeah, like, I mean, he worked for Anakin, so he can do anything, I guess. But like, also he's totally a homie because he knows like Padme and Anakin are a thing.
Yeah. That was crazy. That was crazy. Crazy thing was that Obi-Wan knew about it too.
Yes.
And that was shown through season 7.
Mm-hmm.
And Rex was a homie. I love Rex. I think he's almost the reason Fives developed as the way he did.
Yes.
I mean, if you look at Fives, other than his training episodes, the Outpost episode on Camino, that's one of Fives' first debuts, and Rex.
He's the reason that Fives is alive.
Yeah.
They're all dead. Echo, gone. Fives, gone. Heavy, gone either way. But Fives, I was talking to another buddy in preparation for this, Connor from Seago actually, and he mentioned like Plo Koon. So I put some thought into Plo Koon. I'm like, I don't know enough about the guy personally. I know the more Legends content and video games content like helps flesh him out. But what I do know, what I thought about was like, okay, he's one of the better Jedi.
Yeah.
He's for the clones, right? I think that like iconic line in, is it season 1 of the Clone Wars?
Yeah, season 1.
The Malevolence.
Beginning of the Malevolence.
Yeah. Yep, where he says, they're like, oh, clones are meant to be expendable. He says, not to me. Yeah. Like, that's probably one of the first Jedi that thinks that way.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of them, again, no shade on some of these guys, but like Ayla Secura, I don't know that she was as much like, some of those other Jedi just didn't really care. Pong Krell obviously didn't care.
No, Pong Krell, he said that we fight against each other.
Yeah.
The 501st and the 212.
Yep. So that's cool. That's going for Plo Koon.
Plo Koon, yeah.
In like Legends, and I don't know. Do you know if it's canon? He has like a form of Force lightning. That's like.
It's purple, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think I remember.
And I can't remember for the life of me. I'm sorry if it's Legends or if it's canon.
Somebody correct us if we're wrong.
But that's cool.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Nobody else is doing that.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great mentor. He helps discover Ahsoka, bring her into the Order.
Yeah.
So he's got the accolades for it. I just don't think he has the screen time, and I think he's got a little bit too much of the blind faith of the Jedi Order that just is too much. Like he's not going to be my favorite.
Yeah.
But there are some good points.
He needed more screen time, in my opinion.
Yeah.
To be up there for consideration, I thought. Malevolence was his most prominent arc, for sure. In the movies, I don't even know if he says a word. If I remember correctly,
he's just chilling there.
Yeah, he's just chilling all the time. It's like, hey,
he's sitting in there,
yeah. But that's what makes, to wrap up how much depth there is in the Star Wars, that's what makes Star Wars so great, is you have these background characters in the live action film, and then we get to see them adapted in some way or another.
Yeah.
And we get to care about this character, and every character has a story.
Yeah.
And I think that goes back to why we're doing this podcast in the first place. There's so much to cover, so much fun topics. There's something in Star Wars for you to enjoy.
Yes. Yeah. Everybody out there. There's so many different weird creatures. There's so many different, factions and whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. And to wrap up that Plo Koon thing, like actually one of my favorite scenes in the Clone Wars, I have no idea why, it just looks so crisp, is like when they're on that kind of dusty desert planet and he discovers Sifo Dyas's saber. Like something about that shot looked so clean, and it was just the graphics or something. Obviously, like season 7 of the Clone Wars was a step up in general, so like those shots are probably now better.
Yeah.
But at the time, the dust floating around, the ignition of the saber, Plo's illuminated face was so cool.
Mm-hmm. And it almost foreshadows Ahsoka in season 7.
Yes.
It's almost the same shot.
Also, the Wolf Pack is a pretty dang cool group of clones.
Yeah.
Plo's bros. So
I'm gonna ask you this question: do you base your favorite clone troopers on the type of armor they wear?
It's part of it. It's gotta be.
I do too. That's wwhy one of my favorites, Bly.
Bly, yeah. Oh,
Bly.
Bly is simple, but like I love the yellow. I love the visor. I love the I don't know what it's called, the skirt.
Yeah.
We'll call it not a skirt, but
battle skirt.
Yeah. Bly's clean. I mean, there's like I try to also tie in a little bit of character because like there's so many cool clones like Denal, who got basically just murked by Cad Bane, had some sick armor. Yeah. I loved Grease armor, the camo. But yeah, it's a good question.
I find it interesting that didn't choose any villain characters, and we chose heroes only.
You did a little bit.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
You did a little bit.
a little bit. In the end, he turns out to be the best. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like, not to say that there's not good villains.
Because Cad Bane is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I think.
I feel like the villains just aren't fleshed out as much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, unless they stick around a real long time, which unfortunately in Star Wars most of them don't.
No.
They get murked. Like, Cad Bane has been around, so we start to flesh out his character. And obviously he's got morals. Like, we've seen that with how he dealt with Omega a little bit. Like, he doesn't kill necessarily when he doesn't have to. Told, Hunter he could walk away in the Bad Batch and stuff.
Right.
But outside of him, like, when I think of the villains,
only
most
Maul.
of them make it a movie or two.
Yeah.
Maul is a good one.
Yeah.
Could have been in there.
Yeah. Only because of the Clone Wars series.
Yes.
Yes. I loved his arc, and him in Rebels was actually refreshing too.
Yes, he did well in Rebels.
Yeah.
Live action, they could have done more with him. Like, where's he at? He was in Solo. Where's he at now?
Yeah. I would love. We'll talk about some live action stuff that we want to see on screen in a later episode. Darth Maul's definitely up there though.
Yeah. Well, that's it for me. I don't know if you have anything else.
No, that's all it for me. We're good here.
All right. Well, we're gonna be kind of shooting episodes. We're gonna aim for weekly. All right. We're gonna roll them out weekly. Every week, we'd love for you guys to tap in and ask questions in the comments, or we'll link our social medias. We'd love to answer your questions the last few minutes of every video, or for you to give us debate topics that we can debate for you on screen.
Yeah.
So, hope you guys are along for the journey. We love having you here, and I hope you enjoyed. We'll see you next time.
Yep. Thanks, guys.